So this is how to make your looped keyring. We've got our keyring, we've got our bead, we've got our cord ends, which is what the braid is going to go into. We've got our jump rings, so they're the parts that are going to help us attach the braid onto our keyring itself. So first we'll need to take the hair that we're going to use for the braid. I've just got the peg because it happens to fit the cord end quite nicely on there to hold it for me while I go and check that I've got enough hair to fit into it. So for horsehair, if you didn't purchase any horsehair with your kit, you will need to go and get some. Ideally you want to use tail hair for this, and as far as length goes, you probably want to have at least maybe 30 to 40 centimetres, about that long to work with. So once you've got your horsehair and it's clean, you've given it a wash, you've given it a dry, take your horsehair, and you will need to have your cord end as well so that you can work out how much you're going to need. Take some of it out, or separate some, how much you might think you need, and I tend to gauge. One way of gauging is taking it out, then giving it a good twist, holding it up to the cord end, like that, and making sure that there's still a little bit of room either side of the hair once I've twisted it tight and I've held it up. I don't know if you can see that. Whoops, I don't know if you can quite see that in the video there. So that is giving me just enough room either side of the horsehair, which once I've tied it off, after I've braided it, I want to make sure that it will still fit in. If you've got too much, obviously you can just remove some of the hair. So take some away, check again, make sure that it does still fit. Actually, that's probably a better amount there at the moment. If you haven't got enough, then you can just add some more into it. So take the extra hair that you're not going to use and put it aside somewhere. The hair that you are going to use for your keyring, so to find out where your short bits start, one easy way of doing that is by sort of bending it over like that, and you'll see some of the extra short hairs there. Grab your cotton thread and tie it off a bit from the end so that it will take all your horsehair and hold it together. Wrap your cotton thread around a few times. Now when you've done that, you can double check again against the cord end that you've got. Hold it up. Hold it up to your cord end. And there you go, you can see when I've got it together there's still plenty of room either side. Okay, so wrap it around a few times. Tie it off. You might need an extra set of hands if you're finding it a little bit difficult. There we go. So now that's tied off, we take our super glue, put a bit of glue onto the hair at the other end there. There we go. Wrap the cotton thread around another few times just to hold it, and let it dry for a minute or two, and then you're ready to do your braid. I have a clip that I like to hold all my hair with while I do my braiding, but you can use a bit of tape across the end to hold down onto your workbench, or similarly to what I've got, a clip pop on the end that will hold it while you do your braid. I will have a couple of other videos going up soon on different braids that you can do, sort of a little bit more slow motion, hopefully with a little bit more detail explaining each step of the braid that you do. So for this braid you can do whichever style of braid you would like to do. I tend to do a round braid because it tends to sit nicely in the keyring with a bead. So that's a 4-strand one. We'll just separate our hair out, and then we start our braid. As I said, there will be another video on how to do these braids. With a 4-strand, I tend to take the outside one over here on the left, go behind the 2 middle ones, come under, and then bring it over the middle one there. Then we go over on the other side. So we like to take the outside one over here, go underneath one, the first one and the second one, under there, and over the top of that one. Straighten out our hair and start again back on this side. So alternating between the sides. Take your outside strand, go under one, go under this one, go under that one, behind, come through there, and then go over the top of this one. Back to there. And again, the outside one over here goes behind 1 and 2, comes up between there and goes over. And the outside one goes under 1 and 2, comes up between there and over. But as I said, I will do another video and upload it with a bit more detail, a bit more clarity. Okay, so what you will want is you want to have about 11 centimetres of braid to be able to use for your keyring. So once you've braided enough of that and you've gotten to the end, grab your super glue, put a dab on the end to hold your end together. Give it a few seconds to dry. Okay. And while that's being held together with super glue, you can get your thread. Oops. Just add a bit of thread around that bit where the glue is, just as a secondary measure to hold it together and keep it from coming undone after you've done all that hard work with your braid. Okay. So if you go to the start of your braid, you can just, sometimes it's a bit untidy. What I do is I tie it off again where my braid has actually started, so I get a decent looking neat braid. Again, wrap your thread around a few times, tie it off, oops. So once you've tied that bit there off, take your super glue again. Lots of super glue, lots of thread. It gets used in these. Put a bit of glue on. Gently and carefully just wrap the extra thread around the end. Okay. Once you've done that, take your scissors or sharp craft knife, just be extra careful with your craft knife. So that's our thread there. This is the braid that we're going to use. We aren't going to be needing this end up here. So if we hold the end that we're not going to use, I'll use a craft knife, so that's what I'm going to use as well. Or you can use your scissors to cut it and cut it. So that's our braid here. I want to cut it just to this side. And just quickly cut the excess off. There we go, get rid of that. take our super glue and put it into the cut end here to hold it together. Add a bit more glue around the edges there. We can take our cord end and quickly push it in while it's still wet. There we go, and we let that dry. Okay, so once the end has dried on our braid, we want to measure out the length that we want. So roughly from this end to the next end where we're going to cut, we want that to be about 11 centimetres. So just use a ruler, use your cutting mat, whatever you would like to use. So I've got 10, I've got 11 centimetres here, so that's where I want to cut the next bit off, which means I've got to tie it off there first. So if I grab it and hold it there with my thumb, so that I know where I need that to go, back to our trusty cotton thread, wrap that around a few times, tie it off with a knot, go. Take our super glue, and we're going to apply a bit of super glue just to this lower side of our braid where we will be cutting. So again, super glue onto the horsehair. Use the extra thread that we've got, wrap it around a few times. And using our scissors or our craft knife, we cut the extra off. So that's my thread there, so I'll cut it just a bit beyond here. Put that aside. Now our bead, you want to thread your bead on first before you put the other cord end in. Go. Now if you've cut it a bit too long and you've got a few straggly bits like this that are sticking out, you can use your scissors and trim it back down a bit more, or your knife and trim it down. Okay. And just add a bit of extra glue into the end of where you've cut it to hold it together. Okay. So I want to take the other cord end, a bit of a straggly strand, and check that our thread is thick enough to go in. It's not too loose. Add a bit more super glue around the edges and slide the other cord end on. Now when you have it laying down, just make sure that your two cord ends, the loops, are facing in the same direction that they line up. And we let that dry for our next step. Okay, so to assemble our keyring now, after everything is dried, we need to take our jump rings, which are these silver rings here. You can use your fingers to prise them open. They are fairly soft, or soft enough that you can use your fingers. If you've got access to pliers, then you can obviously use some pliers as well, just to help you hold things. Just pop in through one end of the braid, take your keyring, got your little swivel part of the key clip here, thread that through and then bring your jump rings back closed. That's one side. Get your other jump ring, prise it open like so, loop it through the other end. Come over onto the back onto the swivel of the keyring, like so. Prise it closed, and you have your keyring. You can shape your braid a little bit with a bit of heat from sitting it over the top of the kettle. If you don't want it to be open quite like that, where it's separated, the alternative to that is when you loop it all together, so if you want it to be closer together, you take your jump ring and you loop the two together onto the one, which can be a bit trickier to hold it all together, which is why the pliers come in quite handy for that. So you pop one on, then pop the other one on. Now, if you are super clever in being able to coordinate everything, you can do it just with one and put it straight onto your keyring clip here, and then prise it all back together so that your keyring is more like this, and you are finished. Ready to go, ready to use, ready to gift.